Against one of the worst sides in Prem history at Old Trafford, and I'm still seeing 3 centre-backs when United need a winner, and such little pressure on the ball. It seems like we must continue to suffer. I hope we didn't change that formation after the Newcastle game as purely just an ego thing. Amorim trying to prove that even up against Wolves, this setup can work. I hope it was just the fact that Mount was out. Whatever it was, again, we used that 3-4-3. Again, it was terrible.
Who saw that coming? I did.
But the thing is, in this one, it didn't get much better even when Amorim went to a back 4 and made some changes, as we still have the same sort of structural issues. This one honestly felt worse than that Grimsby result. But let's get into it, guys. Let's break down exactly what went wrong for Amorim's United up against Wolves. As always, guys, drop a like if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new around here, and let's get into it.
Okay, let's go.
So looking at it first off in how United set up and how we changed it so much from that Newcastle game. Because what you could see in this one, obviously, you changed to a back 3 and having Martinez in the middle centre-back, which, you looking at it, he's probably the best in possession, so that way it sort of makes sense. But then you've also put Dogu on the left-hand side, moved him to left wing-back when he had such a good game in that first half up against Newcastle from the right wing. So you moved him over to the left again. You put Darlow into right wing-back, which we've seen never really works. He looked far more comfortable being the right back in that setup up against Newcastle. But then the worst one of all for me, when United were defending quite deep, as you got these sort of positions happening, you got Xerxes in these sort of positions then. You're asking him to defend in these wide areas, and that's never going to work. That's misprofiling to the highest standard. Surely it would have been better off putting Xerxes in these sort of areas, having Dogu come out to the right-hand side, and then pushing over to that back 4. We thought that was how United were going to set up, but ultimately we set up in that back 5 shape again, and shock, didn't work. Some pictures from the game now, and you can see United in this classic 5-2-3 setup, which we know doesn't work. We've seen it up against Brentford, got annihilated, seen it up against Man City. These are the games where United did their worst stuff. So for some reason now, Amorim's gone back to that, and I genuinely couldn't believe what I was seeing. I thought we saw the end of this, but apparently not. Again, apparently we must suffer. So United in this shape, we know we can't get any pressure on the ball. You ended up having Wolves having spare men in United's midfield, and it's just pretty abysmal that we're playing like this up against the worst team in the league. And United with the ball wasn't much better either, as we still only have really one way of attacking under Amorim, and that's going super direct. It can work at times, as you're looking when Agate gets the ball here, he's got his head up, and immediately you're getting Cunha on his bike. This time around we could get in behind Wolves, but largely in this game from open play, United created very little. Again, even before United scored their goal, even before Wolves equalised, you see in United in these sort of shapes, and the lesser used 7 at the back, first 10 minutes up against one of the worst teams that we've ever seen in the Premier League. I mean, yeah, make it make sense. But again, you've got this 5-2-3 shape going on as you run it on a little bit, and we just don't get any pressure on the ball, and we've seen this consistently under Amorim now. As the ball comes out wide, Xerxes doesn't do a good enough job of getting out there, but United, if you don't set up in that sort of 5-4-1 shape, we know that this setup just doesn't work. You get exploited in these sort of areas around that midfield too. So Xerxes doesn't do well enough at getting into that position, whether that's instructional or not. Whatever happens, United within that 5-2-3. As you run it on then, Wolves can play the ball down the side of United centre-backs, and then obviously you're getting a very decent opportunity. And it wasn't just defending deep where United had problems either. We couldn't get any pressure on Wolves in their own half when they were trying to build out from the back. As Wolves here, the keeper has the ball, Jose Sa, plays the ball out to the centre-backs, and you're looking at a here. You've got Cunha pressing up to the centre-back, but you've got a 2v1 up against him. So the ball is easily bypassed him. You've got a ton of space again for Doherty to go and pick that ball further forward. Again, a ton of space for that Wolves attacker to just pick that ball up and progress the ball again. And United, this happened all game long. We just never got any real pressure on Wolves when they had the ball. Again, here he can turn, get his head up, plays the ball out wide to the other side, to the left-hand side, and then United retreat straight into that back 5, and Wolves can get pressure straight on United's last back line. We've seen consistently in this back 5 shape, United cannot get pressure on the ball. Yet some reason Amorim just decides to go back to it. Again, I don't know if it's an ego thing or what, but we've seen it doesn't work. So why go back to it? And this was all before United got that huge slice of luck for our first goal. After that, then, Wolves were a little bit, obviously, shell-shocked. They weren't expecting to go a goal behind. But then all of a sudden, then they do, and you're thinking, United, right, go on then, really consolidate this now, get the second goal, go on and really put the pressure on Wolves. But we don't do that. We continue to give the ball away cheaply. We allow Wolves back into the game, and we've done this in so many other games. We did it up against Wolves in the away game as well. But we've done it in so many other games in the Premier League. United, we might go ahead in games, but other teams will always have a chance to get back into it. And we've seen that so many times under Amorim now. And this is the sort of stuff we were seeing. United retreated into that back five shape so often, and it just allows Wolves back into the game. United, again, no pressure on the ball. The ball comes out wide here. Again, Wolves can work a nice little triangle out wide. And then you're getting someone running off the back of Cunha. Wolves then into that very dangerous position. And this was all leading up to the corner that Wolves had that eventually got them the equaliser. It wasn't just a fluke equaliser from a corner that was against the run of play. They deserved to get back into this game, and they deserved a point from it. Even in the second half, after Amorim made some changes, we went to that back four. It got slightly better. But the fact that United still got such little pressure on Wolves when they had the ball, it was frankly embarrassing. And this is the 78th minute of the game, and this was the amount of pressure United had on the ball. You can see as Jose Sala's the ball again. You got Seshko and Cunha trying to push up high. They're the two strikers. But where is United's midfield four? Nowhere to be seen. As you can see, Wolves have a numerical advantage. They've got that 3-4, if you count the goalkeeper, up against two United players. Acre of space in behind. Simple ball through the middle of Seshko and Cunha. Wolves can get on United's back line again. But as United even got back in a decent position in this instance, they forced Wolves back. But Wolves, again, were able to just carve United open. Ball comes out wide. Ball goes into the centre of the pitch. Again, not enough pressure. The ball gets flicked around the corner. Wolves, again, on United's back line. Wolves probably the most dangerous team from open play in this game. And again, they deserve that point. And United, even in that second half, we were attacking largely with three centre-backs. And again, we've seen this doesn't work. Again, I'm asking why. United, far too often again, we had these sort of instances happening. I thought after that game against Newcastle, this sort of stuff, we know to not let it happen again. But Dogu, again, isolated on an absolute island by himself. In that Newcastle game, we could see that we weren't doing that. We were having options around him, and you can automatically see we were all saying how well Dogu played. But largely it was because he just had those options around him. When you isolate the likes of Dogu, the likes of Dalot, in those wide areas, you're not going to get a lot from him. Especially when you're asking him to swing in crosses, obviously, when they're on their stronger side. If you're asking him to cut inside and then swing the crosses in, that might have been a little bit better. That could have been a tweak the United could have made. But no, we stuck them, Dogu on the left, Dalot on the right, and again, production was so limited. And we've seen this before. I point out Luke Shaw on his pass map. Even when United went to a back four, we largely weren't having anything in these sort of areas from him. He wasn't playing as a fullback when United had the ball, and it was so strange. And again, you're looking at it, you're getting all your production really from your centre-backs. And this is what Amorim sort of wants, is what we've seen for the last year at Old Trafford now. And it's just not something that I like seeing, and we've seen it consistently under him now. Luke Shaw here, you can see the sort of positions he was getting in from that centre-back spot, largely just whipping in crosses from these sort of areas. And even though Seshko can win that header, it's not in a decent enough position to really get anything tidy on that goal. Pretty easy for the goalkeeper. Again, a little bit later on, United, last few minutes of the game, instead of creating anything solid out wide, you're just leaving Luke Shaw in these areas and he just crosses the ball from there. And this is the sort of chance creation stuff that we've seen under Amorim now. It's exactly the same as what we saw up against West Ham, against Everton. When United don't have that space to obviously go and play that super direct stuff, we end up seeing this sort of thing. United just crossing balls in from any sort of area, and I mean, it can work, but largely it's ineffective. And again, up against Wolves, it was. And just when I thought United had finally turned that corner under Amorim, he goes and produces this. And we just took 2 steps backwards. And again, it feels massively like an ego thing. After all the build-up, after that game last week, where United, obviously, everyone was talking about how improved we were in that Newcastle game, playing the back 4. It felt like a massive ego trip from Amorim, trying to prove that his back 5 can work. Going back to that, up against Wolves, he thought he could scam a win. But it didn't even work up against one of the worst sides we've ever seen in the Premier League. Amorim spoke about the players missing, and he referenced Minor, which is an absolute joke, because the bloke has been on the bench all season long. So even when you had him, you didn't want to use him. And I can point out individual performances. I could point out a few of them that weren't great in this game. We could scapegoat the academy lads, probably because they didn't have the best game either. But we've seen this stuff now, even when everyone is fit. We've seen the 5-2-3, and we've seen it doesn't work. That's even when we had the likes of Mbuemo, Ahmad, Fernandes on the pitch. So even if you're going to get these players back and you're going to put them into this shape, we know it doesn't work. So why keep going back to it? And that's why in this video, I'm not going to scapegoat and call out individual players. We've seen this system under Amorim before, and it's why he's had one of the worst records we've seen in United's history. If we're going to keep playing this way, we're going to keep drawing and losing these games. Simple as that. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below. I'm so frustrated, as it does seem we've gone 2 steps backwards. Let me know what you guys think. As always, guys, drop a like if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new around here. I'll catch you in the next one.